This will be my final chapter, and it's called God or Man's Law. Now, opinions are something none of us are lacking, and it's been often said, an opinion is like an anus. Everyone has one. And even the worst time to have one is now, with people being split along political party lines. And those in control of our lawmaking and justice system have begun making laws that can't be equally enforced across our nation. It's obvious we're losing control of them and has therefore become of little use to anyone. Now in Romans 2, when the Gentiles who have no law do by nature what the law prescribes, these having no law or law unto themselves. What has been misinterpreted by many Christians is of God's law having been amended like our Constitution. In all of God's perfection, why do we think God created the Ten Commandments and their precepts only to send a son to change them? The table of the law was yet to be issued to Moses when the Israelites began idol worship in his defense, in his absence. It shows how important this law would become even among God's chosen. Now in Exodus 19 verse 6, and you shall be to me a priestly kingdom and a holy nation. These are the words thou shalt speak to the children of Israel. There are those that believe love is the only commandment we need to follow because it is found in St. Matthew, the Great Commandment. There were actually two issued by Jesus in response to an inquisition by a doctor of the law. St. Matthew 22 verse 37, Thou shalt love thy Lord thy God with thy whole heart and with thy whole soul and with thy whole mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment, and there is another one, the second, that is like it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. St. Matthew 27 verse 40, On these two commandments depend the whole law and the prophets. Think about it for a moment. If you show love toward each other, how is it possible to defile any one of God's 10 commandments? In this respect, love is the catalyst that will make any one commandment work. It's only in the first three letters of the law does God dictate as to how he will be revered. In his first commandment, Exodus 20 verse 3, Thou shalt not have strange gods before me. Now, the following verse is a precept to this law. Exodus 20 verse 4, Thou shalt not make to thyself a graven thing, nor the likeness of anything that is in the heaven above or in the earth beneath, nor of those things that are in the waters under the earth. And the second commandment, which is also his, Exodus 20 verse 7, Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that shall take the name of the Lord his God in vain. The third commandment, which is also of his, Exodus 20 verse 8, Remember that thou keep holy the Sabbath day. The following verse is the precept to this law, Exodus 20 verse 11. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and the sea, and all the things that are in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. Now the laws pertaining to us, the fourth commandment, Exodus 20 verse 12, Honor thy father and thy mother, that thou mayest be long lived upon the land which the Lord thy God will give thee. Now, on the fifth commandment, Exodus 20, verse 13, Thou shalt not kill. Sixth commandment, Exodus 20, verse 14, Thou shalt not commit adultery. Seventh commandment, Exodus 20, verse 15, Thou shalt not steal. The eighth commandment, Exodus 20, verse 16, Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. The ninth and 10th commandments are entwined, but for the sake of remaining true to Scripture, we repeat the verse as is. Now the ninth and 10th commandment, Exodus 20 verse 17, Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. neither shalt thou desire his wife, nor his servant, nor his handmaid, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is. Now, this will be one of the most prolific chapters I've ever written. And with those commentaries being the last in this set, I would now love to introduce two of the very finest colleagues to have ever crossed paths with. The first man is Chad Rook, R-U-C-H, who was instrumental in helping me post my videos in various places. The next is my close cousin, Albert Natowski. He was my confidant, also instrumental, advising me on many of my observations with suggestive reinforcements. I give them credit toward the end of all these chapters because it is here that is most imperative, because I feel they must never be forgotten for all they've done, and now you know why.